again, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. Hello there. Hope all of you are doing well, and thank you for joining me today. Today I have got another lovely lacy stitch. This is the twin trellis stitch. It's very simple. It is gorgeous. It's lacy. It's only got a 4-row repeat. And of course, I'm going to walk you through all the nitty-gritty. I think this would be lovely as a wide scarf or a wrap or a light blanket. Hey, do what you want, because as always, I give you the multiples so you can make this as wide or as narrow as you want to. So for this particular swatch that I worked up, I used a 6mm size J crochet hook, and I love this yarn. It's in the colorway of, where is it? There it is, Sun Gold. It is a weight of 4. It is 100% acrylic, and it is about 355 yards. I used this actually once before when I did the log cabin blanket some time ago, and I thought this color was perfect, So, that being said, let's get started, shall we? Okay. As always, first things first, we have our base chain. Now, for this particular stitch, it's a multiple of 6 chains. You don't have to add anything to it. It's very straightforward, unlike most. It is just a multiple of 6. Right now, I've got 24 chains, so I've got 4 multiples of 6 for 24, but as always, you can make this as wide or as narrow as you want to. And as always, I strongly suggest work up a swatch first. That way you can determine how many multiples of 6 you would need for the desired width of your finished project. And as an extra bonus, you get used to how the stitch works. That being said, work up your base chain, multiple of 6, and I will see you in a bit. Beginning at the beginning with row 1. Okay, so into the 8th chain from the hook, we're going to do a series of single crochets. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, into that 8th chain, single crochet. And I'm going to go into the top loop of the V. You can go into the back bump, whatever tickles your fancy, and then 2 more single crochets, 1 in each chain for a total of 3. There we are. Okay, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and skipping 3 chains, we're then going to single crochet into the next 3 chains. So skipping 3 and then working into the next 3. 1, 2, 3, chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And skip another 3, and then single into the next 3. One, 2, and 3. And we only have 2 chains left over. So at this point, chain up 2, 1 and 2, and then double crochet into that last chain. And there we go. Alrighty. Row 2. Start off by chaining up 1, turn the work, and single crochet into the top of that double crochet from the previous row. Okay, from here, chain 3, and do a single crochet into that middle single crochet stitch. And then we're going to work our way up, chain 3, and single crochet into the chain 5 space. Then we're going to work our way down, chain 3, and single into the middle single, that second single. So we're just going up and down, traversing the landscape as we go. Chain 3, single into the chain 5 space, chain 3, single into the second single, chain 3. Okay, now this next part, it's a little bit fiddly, if you will, but the counting is where we find where we need to go. So this was the single crochet, and then 1, 2 into that third chain, do a single crochet. So you got the single, skip 2, and then in that third one, that's where you go in. Technically speaking, you could just go into the chain space in here, but this solidifies it a little bit nicer. So that is the end of row 2. Row 3. Start off by chaining up 1 and turn the work. Single crochet into that first single crochet and into the chain space as well. Do a single crochet. So we've got 2. Then chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to skip this space, this single, and this space. We're going to go to this second single, and we're going to do a single crochet into the space, into the single, and into the next space, creating 3 doubles. So into this space with a single, then single into the single, and then single into the next space. Chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip this space and the single into the next space. Single. Single in the single. And single in the next space. Chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skipping this space and the single, and then we're going to single into this space and the last single. And there you go. So that's the end of row 3. Now, at this point, yes, it's looking a little bit smooshed, but it does open up. You know, as we keep making more fabric, it does open up. But, you know, we're early days here. We're getting there. Okay, row 4. Start off by chaining up 1, turning the work. So we have these 2 single crochets. We're going to do a single crochet into just the first. There we are. Then chain 3 and single crochet into this chain 5 space. Chain 3, single into the second single crochet, that middle one. Chain 3, single into the chain space, chain 3, single into the second single, chain 3, single into the chain space, chain 3, and single into the last single crochet stitch. And there you go. That is actually a full repeat. Now, of course, I'm going to do a repeat or two with you on camera, because I like to be thorough. I like spending time with you guys and sort of demystifying what it is that we're doing, and as far as the why and the how and the this, the that, and the other. So let us do a full repeat together. Okay, so it's going to be rows 5 through 8 for simplicity's sake, because row 5 mimics row 1, but it starts a little bit differently. That's why I'm going to be doing it this way. I hope this makes sense. All right, so for row 5, start off by chaining up 5. Now that's going to give us a double crochet and a chain 2 space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Turn the work, and then we're going to, in this chain 3 space, do a single, then a single, and then another single. So into that first space, single, single into the single, and then single into the next space. So this is reminiscent of what we did down here, where we skipped all those chains to give us some space, a double, and then some more space. That is, in essence, what we just did here by the chaining up of 5. So from here, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skipping this space and the single, going into the next space with a single, single into the next single, and single into the chain space. So we've got our 3 singles right there. Chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the space, skip the single, next space, single, single in the single, single in the next space. Okay, now, much like what we did at the end of the first row that we did, going to chain 2, and then double into that last single crochet stitch. There we are. Okay, so that is row 5. Row 6, chain up 1, turn the work, single crochet into that first stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, single crochet into the middle stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, single crochet into the chain space, chain 3, single into the second stitch, chain 3, single into the chain space, chain 3, single into the second stitch, chain 3. Okay, now from here, we can go about this in 2 different ways. Now that we have something to work with, we have our single crochet, and then we can skip 2 chains and go into the third, or we can go into the third from the bottom. Either or works just fine. But I would suggest actually working into the chain, not just into the chain space, because generally it looks a little bit neater. That's my own personal opinion, but do what you will. I do not judge. So that is the end of row 6. Row 7, chain up 1 and turn your work. So we have 1 single crochet. Well, we're going to need 2. So single into the first stitch, single into the chain space, then chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the space and the single into the next space, chain space. There. Okay, then single into the single into the next space. Chain 5. Skip the space and the single going into the next space with a single into the single, and single into the next space. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip the space, skip the single into the next space, and into the last single crochet stitch. And that is the end of row 7. Last but not least, row 8. So we went from 1 to 2, and now we have to go back down to 1. So chain 1, turn the work, single into the first stitch. Okay. Chain 3, single into the space. Chain 3, single into the second stitch. Chain 3, single into the space. Chain 3, single into the second stitch. Chain 3, single into the space. Chain 3, and single into the last stitch. There. Okay, so that was a full repeat, but we're going to do it again because I like being thorough and explaining as we go. So let's get to it. Sure, let's go. Okay, so row 5 for the repeat. Now, an easy way of remembering, row 5, well, we're going to start off by chaining 5, to make that nice big space. And it is a 4-row repeat. So basically, if you break it down, we've got 1 single, 2 singles, 1 single. Well, then we need the big loop that we have right here. So it's sort of cyclic along the sides. Also, if you break it down, the 1, 2, 1, it's sort of half of a little diamond, just like we create right here. So this is the sort of end cap, if you will. Also, if we, break it down further, the rows alternate between doing chains of 3 and chains of 5. It's, 3, then 5, then 3, then 5, back, forth, alternating. And it makes it a little bit easier to remember and to understand where we are within the pattern, and that's what worked for me. So I'm going to start off by chaining up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, that gives us the double crochet and the chain 2 space. Then we need to do singles on either side of this single and the single itself. So into the space with a single into the single, and single into the next space. Okay, from here, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the space, skip the single, going into the next space with a single into the single into the space. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the space, skip the single into the next space, single into the single single into the next space. And because we started off with a double and a chain 2 space, we have to finish in the same fashion. So chain 2 and double into the last stitch, like so. It's how we started, it's how we have to finish. All right, so onwards and upwards. Row 6 for the repeat. Okie dokie. So starting off with a chaining of 1 and turn the work. Single into the first stitch. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Single into that second stitch. Chain 3. Single into the chain space, chain 3, single into the second stitch, chain 3, single into the chain space, chain 3, getting there. There we are. Single into the second stitch, chain 3. Okay, now from here, because we have this chain 5 loop, figuratively speaking, going to go 1, 2, 3rd from the bottom is what I always find is easiest, and single crochet into that one. And there you are. It's the end of row 6 for the repeat. Row 7. Start off by chaining up 1 and turn the work. Single crochet into that first single crochet stitch and into the chain space. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip the space and the single going into the next space with a single, single into the single, single into the next space. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip a space and the single going into the next space with a single, single into the single, single into the next space, and invariably pull out some more yarn. There we go. Okay, so we've got our 3 singles, chain 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the space and the single going into the next space with a single and into that last single crochet stitch. There you go. The end of row 7. And last but not least, once again, row 8. Start off by chaining up 1, turn the work, single crochet into the first stitch, chain 3, single into the chain space, chain 3, single into the second stitch, chain 3, single into the chain space, chain 3, single into the second stitch, chain 3, single into the chain space, chain 3, and single into the last stitch. So again, you can see we have sort of like the half diamond built up. Single, 2 singles, single, and then, you would again create the big loop on the next row, which would be row 5. And again, row 5, chaining up a 5, and starting the sequence over once again. And this has some lovely drape to it. It has a lovely stretch to it. If you are working with a natural fiber, which at the moment I'm not, but if you work with a natural fiber, you can block this. You can stretch it out and block it, and it will look even better, I think. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of blocking, and I think that it has such a beautiful drape and flow as it is that I would just leave it. But I'm just throwing it out there as far as a suggestion. But there you go. The twin trellis stitch. Absolutely love it. And I hope I was comprehensive enough in explaining how to do it. So there you go. Alrighty, my dears, so that's going to conclude today's tutorial. I really hope that you liked it, and if you did, please give me a little old thumbs up button down below. You know that I appreciate your appreciation as always. Thank you ever so much for joining me today, and in the comments section, let me know, what are you going to do with this stitch? What sorts of yarns, what sorts of colors, what sort of projects, always curious about your creative journeys. And until next time, you know what to do, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now, everybody, and have a great, great day.